Welcome to Bonnie's Beat. I'm your host, Bonnie Squires. We're coming to you from beautiful downtown Wayne, Pennsylvania, studios of Radnor Studio 21. We like to showcase people who are doing important, interesting work in the community, whether it's academia, whether it's a charity, whether it's an upcoming special event. And today we have somebody who drove in from far, far distant lands. Where? Wellsboro?
East Smithfield.
East Smithfield, Pennsylvania. I think that Joan Smith-Reese is on the New York border.
Yes, very much so.
And I'll let you tell her all about her wonderful organization, which is called the Animal Care Sanctuary. It's a no-kill shelter for animals, all kinds of animals, and in 2017, it will be their 50th anniversary.
That's right, Bonnie. We're very excited about that. We have you said about the right on the border, and we really are a stone's throw from New York, upstate New York. So while you hear East Smithfield, Pennsylvania, and our second location, Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, if you think of Cornell and Ithaca, we're due south, about 40 minutes. So we're kind of sandwiched between Elmira and Binghamton, New York, but it's not hard to find us, and a lot of people from Philadelphia find us. We are a no-kill shelter, and we are celebrating our 50th, and we do have all kinds of pet companions. The bulk of our animals, and there's 500 on any given day.
500? That's a lot of cat food, dog food.
It's a lot
chameleon food, parrot food.
Yes, it is. The bulk are cats and dogs. However, we get the occasional rabbits and ferrets and gerbils, hamsters, things like that. But what we're really known for are cats and dogs. And we are very privileged to not only have supporters that adopt from us all over, but also, help us monetarily to keep the sanctuary going. It's a big undertaking.
How many acres do you have at your Smithfield facility?
That has 132 acres, and
do you have a goat that chops the grass, or does somebody ride around with an automatic lawnmower?
Well, we're actually what's called clean and green. Because we have so much acreage, we allow farmers to come in and plant 1 year corn and 1 year hay, and that way, it's not taxed. So we're only taxed on our buildings, which it really makes it very nice.
Yeah, but I thought you were a nonprofit.
We are, but you're still taxed, school tax, real estate tax.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Even a nonprofit has to pay
taxes.
Oh.
But the clean and green really helps. So we have that at both locations, and but it is a lot of acreage, and that's one of the real advantages we feel. Our animals, get walked every day, and in the summer there are ponds to swim for the dogs, and people from our community come up and walk. The volunteers love to do that, and it's really beautiful. Our groundsman really keeps everything just beautiful in terms of flowers and foliage and all that.
Let's talk about the origins of the Animal Care Sanctuary. 50 years ago. It didn't start in wherever Smithfield is, and I'll be up there shortly, I'm sure.
Yes, you will. Our founder, Leslie Sinclair, was originally from England and came to the United States during World War II. She was educated, and she was an interior designer in New York City. She lived in Toms River, New Jersey, had a beautiful home, and really discovered that when people left their summer homes in September or late August, they would just abandon their animals.
Oh.
So she would begin to, pick up cats, pick up dogs, and well, you know how that goes. She soon had many animals and rented a 5-acre chicken farm in Toms River. And before she knew it, she had 1,000 animals, gave up the interior designing altogether, and started the not-for-profit, which is today Animal Care Sanctuary. She grew out of her space. She found a beautiful piece of property that was 25 acres in Toms River. Came down here to Philly because the SPCA had just built a beautiful shelter and she was looking at different models. She fought for 8 years zoning and could not get it in Toms River. Subsequently, doing our history and going back, that 25 acres sits there today with a lot of junk cars, so shame on them, but good for East Smithfield. So she had a friend that had a cabin up in East Smithfield, and went up and really saw the advantage of having so much acreage, and had all the animals moved up there. And that was quite an undertaking as well. But the hard part...
somebody made a fortune on dog carriers, right?
She rented school buses, if you can imagine that, and that's how all those animals were transported.
But they didn't let them loose in the buses.
No, they had carriers. And
I would have liked to have had that contract for the carriers.
I would have too. The sad part was in Toms River, she had certainly lots of volunteers, supporters. You know, if the roof was leaking, she could call the contractor, then on Friday afternoon they'd come and fix it and so forth. But once she got up to East Smithfield, which was a very economically depressed area and very rural, she became much more isolated. In fact, at that time in the early 80s when she moved there were no hotels, so she put mobile homes on the property so friends from New Jersey that came to visit would have a place to stay. So it was a lot different back in the 80s.
And today, is there a hotel near the Animal Care Sanctuary?
There are lots of hotels, yes.
Oh. Are you an attraction up there? Like a tourist mecca or something?
Well, Wellsboro is, with the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. Lots of tourism. They're very close to Corning. There's a lot of culture and music and so forth. East Smithfield's attractions are much more the natural, the parks, you know, and things like that. But what has really had the East Smithfield area grow is the natural gas that was found. So there was the boom, you know, with the fracking.
The fracking.
They were
How's
here,
the water supply?
and they're gone. Well, the water is good, but I live in New York, remember that.
Okay, you live just a stone's throw across.
Just a stone's throw, yes.
Okay.
But that really did bring a lot of people to the county.
Now, last year, you had an amazing thing happen. You opened an envelope and discovered that...
We were awarded a small amount of money, $3,000, from Mutt Nation Foundation, which is a foundation that is run by Miranda Lambert and her mother.
The famous Miranda Lambert.
Yes.
The country music Miranda Lambert.
Yes, who also loves animals. And so does her mother, Bev. And they actually have a shelter in Oklahoma and just opened one in Texas. But the Mutt Nation Foundation, for 3 years in a row now, has found shelters in each of the 50 states that they selected as the best shelter. And
Just
Animal
one.
Care Sanctuary
The
was
best one.
And it was a lot of criteria, and they spent a lot of time looking at us, and we didn't know it. So that was, you know, really outstanding in terms of all of the reasons that they selected us. One of them, one of the major ones was we have a 90% what they call live release rate, which means all of 90% of the animals we bring in a year, we adopt back out.
That's fantastic, and I'm sure they're not all in great physical condition when they come to you.
They aren't. Many of them have gone through very difficult times. The two ways that we primarily receive animals are either through owner surrenders or pulling them from other shelters so that they don't euthanize. And So medically, often they aren't up to date with their shots. They haven't been spayed or neutered, and that really allows us, with our wonderful veterinary team that we have 3 vets on staff, to really medically put them in an intake unit for 14 days and evaluate them, get them up to date with their shots, get them spayed, neutered if necessary, and of course microchip them, both dogs and cats. We've been questioned a lot about why do you microchip cats?
I found out, I didn't even realize this, because my husband and I, 4 years ago when we lost our 16-year-old cat and had lost the brother at 15 year before, and we just, for 2 weeks, the house was so quiet we couldn't stand it. So we found out that a friend who had a pet shop was having a kitty palooza, and we went and we adopted 2 little kittens. We don't tell them that they're not brother and sister from the same litter, because one was found in Kensington, one was found in Port Richmond, but they love each other, so they think they're sister and brother.
Are they microchipped?
And I found out, I happened to come across the adoption papers very recently, and I said to my husband, oh my goodness, they're microchipped. Not that they ever leave the house. They're indoor cats, except when we put them in a carrier and take them to the Bryn Mawr Veterinary Hospital.
It's so important, though, you know.
Oh, yes.
And we've reunited so many pets with their animals, because the first thing that we do when they come in is scan them. And when we adopt out an animal, along with the new owner registering their microchip, we keep ourselves on that as well. So if an animal is lost, and when they're scanning and they can't reach the owner, they can reach us. So that really helps.
Oh, that's terrific. There was a major story in the news recently of a dog that had somebody accidentally left the door open, and it disappeared for like 3 years, and then it turned out it was just a few blocks away, and the person turned it in, and it was scanned by a vet, and the dog remembered not just the family members, remembered the other animals in the house,
sure.
and had a big reunion. People don't give animals credit for love. I know my husband was born in Tunisia, and they didn't have cats and dogs as indoor pets. His mother would feed cats on the farm, but never let them in the house. So, when we got married, and the cats own the indoors, and they own the furniture.
That's right,
and they
that's right.
sleep in bed with us,
Well, that's a good pet owner. You were asking about the conditions that they come in, and of course medical is primary, and making sure that they're healthy. But also we have behaviorists on staff. So
what's an animal behaviorist?
Well, there are many animals.
Is that like the horse whisperer with Robert Redford?
Well,
do they have dog whisperers?
Yeah, similar, but it's a little more scientific than that. Many of the animals that come in, primarily dogs, if they have really had a traumatic experience, they can have issues such as separation anxiety. And we've had dogs that have jumped out of second floor windows, separation anxiety. What we call stranger danger, where they're afraid of strangers. Food aggression, because they didn't get enough to eat. So there are a lot of things like that. And the behaviorists do an assessment, determine, they give them food and then try to pull it away, or give them a toy, or have somebody come in dressed, rather oddly, and see how they are with a stranger, all those kinds of things. And then they develop a program and really work with that dog to correct the behavior. And that's been a great plus for us to be able to have.
Who would have the patience to work with a dog to train it not to be aggressive when it comes to food or strangers?
Well, one of our programs called Alternative Housing is where our pre-vet students, which we have, and we can talk about that, live on the site, both in Wellsboro and in East Smithfield. And because we have more applicants than we can take, one of the ways that we kind of pare down is asking them if they are willing to work with our dogs that have behavioral issues. The dogs actually live with them, and they have to do a lot of data collection, training with the dog with the objective that they are adopted. And 24 out of 24 of our dogs that have gone through that program have been adopted. So we're very excited about that.
I think 100% is a very good track record.
Well, often once a dog is removed from the shelter and placed in a home with a loving intern, the behaviors begin to disappear. All they need is love. That doesn't mean that, you don't also have to correct some behaviors,
right.
but they are diminished once they move in and are sleeping on the bed with an intern.
The interns come from the University of Pennsylvania, right?
They come from all over the
Ryan
country.
Vet School.
Purdue, Emory, NYU.
Does Cornell have a?
Cornell.
Cornell has a veterinary school.
Yeah, we've even had a student from Puerto Rico. So they do come from all over the country, and they stay for a full semester. They work in our cattery and in the kennel.
Oh, talk about the cattery. I love that.
Okay. The cattery is one of the finest in the country, so we would love people to come and see it. There are over 300 cats on any given day in East Smithfield. And Wellsboro has about 40, and they're opening a feline flat in March, which is a separate unit just for the cats. And no one is in a cage. They are living in large communals. And then during the day, each communal is open for a certain period of time, and they own the cattery. They are on the carts with the cleaning, our caregivers, or yesterday they were exploring that Christmas tree. It went down about 3 times. There is a large room that they can meet with potential adopters privately, and they have a pretty nice room, a life, and they have a catio. So spring, summer, and fall, they're lounging in the sun or batting in the fountain, and watching the birds at the bird feeder. So they have a great life.
Every once in a while you have a cat cafe, I understand.
We do, and
what is that?
Well, we're having one December 28th through the 30th, and we have a large area that certainly we serve coffee, tea, hot chocolate, cookies.
Not for the cats, that's for the people.
That's right, but it's for the people to come and just socialize with the animals. The other thing that we are doing in the cat cafe is we've put in bookshelves, and we've had some retired teachers donate lots of wonderful children's books, and the libraries are going to meet in the cat cafe. Bring the preschool children up and we'll read to them.
Oh, that's great.
There are a lot of studies that do show that children who are reading to animals do far better, and feel much less inhibited about reading. So right now they're doing that in the cattery. Once we build our new kennel, they'll read to the dogs over in the kennel. So
read to the dogs. Are there written tests? Sorry about that.
No. But we talked about behavioral assessments for dogs, and there are for cats as well, to kind of judge. The most important thing about an adoption is making sure that you are matching the adopter with the right cat or dog. So with cats, if you have children, you don't want a shy cat that's older and scared. So we have what we call Meet Your Match, and we kind of have already done an assessment on the cats. And so if an older person comes in and they just want one that sits on their lap, when you have 300 cats, you can say, well, we've got these 8 that we'd really like to show you that want to sit on laps. So anyway, that keeps the staff busy doing assessments.
I would think so.
But the goal is adoption.
But you have something that I had never heard of before, music therapists for animals. And they come from Temple University, so tell me about that.
Well, the students come in the summer, and this last summer we were very fortunate to have a music therapist that actually on her Facebook page yesterday played in the White House. So
oh my goodness.
A group from Temple went down to the White House, so that was really nice.
Fabulous.
But not only did she play for our animals, both in the clinic when they're in recovery, coming out of anesthesia, it really is a calming effect, but also for our cats and dogs, it's certainly a great distressor. But the exciting thing this year was she also recruited volunteers from the area and had them work with her and learn what the cats and the dogs like so that they could continue it, you know, throughout
After she
the
goes
year.
back to school.
Right, right.
Oh,
So that
that's
was,
terrific.
yeah, really exciting. But in terms of the amount of stress that the animals have, particularly dogs, not so much cats, but they show their stress a little differently. But the dogs, it's very outward. And the second or third day of music therapy, and when they walk in and play, the dogs just immediately lay down. And it's also wonderful for the staff, you know. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
That's fantastic. Do you do art therapy for the dogs?
No,
Every once
we
in a while on
don't.
television you see an elephant with the trunk
Yes.
painting,
Yes.
and they sell
The paintings.
the paintings.
Yes.
So
We-
you could put paw prints in red, blue, yellow,
Well, we
whatever.
don't have art therapy for the dogs and cats, but we do have art interns. We had graphic art interns last summer from Lycoming College in Williamsport, from Mansfield University. From, I believe next semester there's one from Marywood and Scranton. And they'll help us significantly with you know, developing brochures or educational tools that we use in the school. Last summer they did a lot of photography, which was great.
But also, you have a lot of volunteers from the main line and from the Philadelphia region.
We do. We really have a great support group here in Philadelphia, and it all began years ago, prior to internet. Our founder wrote to a columnist here in Philadelphia at the Inquirer, Deborah Lawson, and she wrote a lot about animals. And she really recorded a lot of Leslie's story about how she was in New Jersey, moved up there, all the animals, how they're abandoned, all that kind of thing. And people from this area really became interested in Animal Care Sanctuary because back in the 80s there weren't many no-kill, you know, facilities, shelters euthanized.
That's true.
And
Let's give people, let's put on the screen, Julie, if you would. Here we go. It's www.animalcaresanctuary.org. The phone number is 570-596-2200. So people can Google and they can see.
Absolutely.
And you do a weekly e-zine, which is terrific because you show the photos of the people who just adopted a pet. I love it. A lot of happy faces there, including the animals' faces.
Yeah, we really try to keep our newsletter positive. You know, there are so many sad stories out there, and we see them, and occasionally we tell them. But it's really, people often say they're so happy to see the animals and how happy they are with their owners. I want to mention that Wellsboro's phone number too is 570-724-3687, which you can find in our website as well. The Philadelphia Connection, after the people began to respond to the articles that were written in the Philadelphia Inquirer, really became permanent supporters of the sanctuary. And when I came and would come down and meet with them, they would come to their kitchen tables with stacks of letters that they had written back and forth to our founder, and that really created our history. But it was really like a diary, and Leslie would often write her dreams, and she would say things like, I have all these mobile homes up here. I wish one of them could be a veterinary clinic. And when I would read it and say, oh my gosh, we do have a vet clinic, and it is in one of her mobile homes, it was almost, you know, serendipitous. But that relationship has really stayed, and we've created a support group of a lot of people that not only come up to adopt, but also do a lot of things here in Philadelphia for
And
us.
fundraising, as well as education, is one of the important things. And to celebrate the 50th, you've got a whole menu of activities. One's going to be at the winery in Glen Mills.
That's correct.
And the date, I forgot the date.
August 19th.
Next summer, okay.
And that is also the same day as Clear the Shelter, which is a nationwide program that NBC sponsors. So we're very excited about that. We participate in that. And because we have, over 500 animals, we don't clear, but we certainly do adopt a lot that day. So August 19th at the Grace Winery in Glen Mills. And on October 7th, we have our Wolf Rock, which is in its 3rd year. That is a music festival up in East Smithfield. We do
Wolf Rock, I
yeah,
love
that's
it.
a lot of fun. And we're looking at participating in a great event in New Jersey. We don't have the date yet, but more of
In Toms River?
it's going, well, in Toms River, yes, we're going to be at the county fair for a week.
Oh,
And we're going to be in the farm show.
the farm show in Harrisburg, which is a huge thing. When I lived and worked in Harrisburg, oh my goodness, the biggest carved butter cow you've ever seen in your life. I don't know how many hundreds of pounds that carved butter cow
That gets a
weighs.
lot of
A
publicity.
lot of publicity.
There's a lot of fun things that happen at the farm show, whether it's horse shows or dog shows or, all kinds of animals and gardening and, vegetation and so forth. So
And a lot of politicians.
a lot of politicians,
Because
a
that's
lot of
where the
maple
people are,
syrup, a lot of
right?
products. But we're very excited to be there to tell the whole state of Pennsylvania about us and that we're celebrating our 50 years as a no-kill and inviting them then to come up. We're, in a beautiful area and lots to do nature-wise. So we hope we get a lot of visitors.
Well, we're going to have to tell Governor Wolf that he's got to pay special attention. You're going to have a booth, table? What are you going to
We
have
are.
there?
We're going to have a booth on the main floor. We'll be
Oh.
having a video run telling about us, but also we're going to have a lot of videos on training. So somebody might be interested in clicker training for their dogs or things like that. So we will be doing a lot of educational types of things as well.
How many people will you have working at the booth?
We have 4 every day.
Oh, a lot of people. Now, are you bringing them from Philly? Are they from Harrisburg? Are they from
all
East
over.
Smithfield? All
East
over.
Smithfield, Wellsboro, Williamsport, Philly. So
Is there a farm show, Princess? I don't remember. It's been so many years. Whether they have.
the counties have that. So I imagine
Oh, I know what they
they
have.
all come.
They have. The kids that are future farmers of America.
I know we have dairy princesses up in our area because they come and serve ice cream at Wolf Rock.
WOOFROCK. I
That's
love
correct.
it. Let's give the phone number again where people can contact Animal Care Sanctuary. If you heard anything that you're interested in, and there's a lot to be interested in, the number is 570-596-2200, or just Google Animal Care Sanctuary in Pennsylvania, and you will find a wealth of information there.
Yeah, go on our Facebook page too, because that on a daily basis has lots of things. I do want to mention one other thing if we have time, Bonnie.
Yep.
We are an emergency placement partner for the Humane Society of the United States. So we've helped with Hurricane Sandy and just recently Hurricane Matthew. But something that we've been asked to help with in January is accepting dogs that were originally slated as dog meat in Korea.
Oh.
Korea, Korea still has dog meat farms, and the Humane Society internationally is working very hard to, get that stopped. And they've just closed a farm that had 32 dogs, and so of course right now they're all going through medical screening and things like that still in Korea. And they're going to be brought over in January, and we will be accepting some. So we feel very privileged to help with that. And the Humane Society is working very hard. We have an Olympics, I believe, coming up in Korea. I think it's in 2018. And they're trying to impress on South Korea that, you know, Americans are not going to want to see this.
No.
So they're
and they're not going to eat it either.
No.
Ugh.
So they're getting some movement legislatively to get these closed down. So we're very, very hopeful on that.
And you want to give a shout out to City Councilman Kenyatta Johnson?
Absolutely. He is a hero in our mind, and I hope that he can influence our legislators to pass a law like he got here in Philly for our state, which is a code blue. When it is too cold, you bring your animals in, which is under 30 degrees. And when it's too hot, you know, over 80, you bring them in. So,
and you don't leave them chained anywhere with no water.
That's right. Exactly. And they have proper shelter. So we're very excited about what he accomplished here and hope that we can get that accomplished this year in Pennsylvania.
Well, when you're up at the farm show, you can give out brochures and give out flyers.
Well, we will be attending Lobby Day in March. We are big constituents in terms of being there in front of the legislators and really helping to get some things passed.
You'll have to wear a lot of buttons that say, love your
support
dog,
animals,
I
yes.
support animals.
Vote for an animal.
I could put on my Cat Lovers for Hillary button again, I guess.
You could put it on.
That I don't think it'll help, though.
No.
Anyway, we've been thrilled to have Joan Smith-Reese from the Animal Care Sanctuary as our guest today, and we'll hear more from her in the future, I'm sure. See you next week.